Christmas is a time for joy, family, and kindness, but sometimes the true meaning of the season reveals itself in the most unexpected ways. Imagine a bustling city street decorated with sparkling lights and a chilly breeze carrying the scent of roasted chestnuts. Among the crowds of cheerful shoppers and glowing storefronts, a little boy sits on the corner. His clothes are worn, his cheeks red from the cold, but his eyes carry a quiet warmth. He's holding a small piece of cake in his hands, crumbly, but carefully wrapped in paper, as though it's a treasure. Across the street, a car pulls up. The door opens, and out steps none other than Angelina Jolie, the world-famous actress known for her movies and humanitarian work. People around her stop and stare, snapping pictures and whispering excitedly. But for this little boy, she isn't just a celebrity. She's an opportunity, not for money, but for something far more heartfelt. What happens next will leave you speechless. In the story of generosity and human connection, a small act of kindness turns into something extraordinary. Stay tuned to find out how this little boy's offering changes everything, because sometimes the smallest gestures carry the biggest weight. The boy watches Angelina Jolie with wide, curious eyes. He doesn't fully understand her fame. He only knows she's someone important, someone different from the usual faces that hurry past him every day. Clutching his small piece of cake, he hesitates for a moment, then stands up. His legs feel shaky, both from hunger and nerves, but there's something in his heart that pushes him forward. Angelina is surrounded by people, but her attention is drawn to the boy as he approaches. He doesn't say anything at first, just holds out the cake toward her with both hands. It's small and crumbly, but the way he looks at her, as if it's the most precious thing he has to offer, stops her in her tracks. Her expression softens as she kneels down to his level. "Is this for me?" she asks gently, her voice full of warmth. The boy nods, not saying a word, afraid she might not take it. Around them, people start to notice their murmurs growing louder. Why would a child who looks like he has nothing give away his only food? And why does Angelina seem so deeply moved by this tiny act of kindness? What happens next will leave everyone stunned. Angelina accepts the small piece of cake, her hands trembling slightly as she takes it. "Thank you," she whispers, her voice barely audible over the bustling street. The boy gives her a shy smile, his cheeks glowing with both pride and relief. But before she can ask him anything, a bystander interrupts. "Hey, isn't that the kid who's always sitting near the bookstore?" Someone whispers loudly. Another voice chimes in. "Yeah, I've seen him before. Doesn't he beg for food?" The murmurs ripple through the crowd, but Angelina doesn't move. Her focus remains on the boy, whose eyes drop to the ground as if he's ashamed. "Where are your parents?" she asks softly, but the boy doesn't answer. He shifts his weight from one foot to the other, clutching the thin blanket draped over his shoulders. A vendor nearby calls out, "That kid doesn't have parents. He just roams around here." The words hang heavy in the cold air, and Angelina's expression hardens, not in anger, but in resolve. She looks around, realizing how invisible this child has been to so many. Questions flood her mind. How long has he been alone? Why hasn't anyone helped him? As she gently takes his hand, the boy flinches, unsure of her intentions. The crowd watches, curious yet unsure of what will happen next. The tension only grows as Angelina makes a decision that will change both their lives forever. Angelina holds the boy's small hand, her heart breaking as she feels how cold it is. The crowd grows, curious and buzzing with questions, but she blocks it all out, focusing only on the boy. "What's your name?" she asks gently. He hesitates before murmuring, "Beggar." His voice is so soft it's almost lost in the noise around them. "Beggar," she repeats with a kind smile. "Will you come with me for a moment? I just want to talk." He looks at her with wide, unsure eyes, then glances nervously at the crowd. Some people are filming now, their phones raised, their faces unreadable. Aeon nods faintly, and Angelina stands, keeping his hand firmly in hers as they step toward her car. The murmurs follow them, growing louder as she opens the door and gestures for him to get in. A vendor calls out, "Wait! Are you just taking him?" Angelina pauses, her gaze unwavering. "He's a child," she replies, her voice calm but firm. "Someone needs to help him." Inside the car, Anon sits silently, clutching his thin blanket tightly. As the car starts moving, he looks out the window, his fingers trembling. "Where are we going?" he whispers, his voice carrying a mix of hope and fear. Angelina looks at him, her expression a mixture of determination and sorrow. "Somewhere safe," she promises. But deep down, she knows this is just the beginning. The real question isn't where they're going. It's what she'll uncover about his life and how it might change everything. As the car weaves through the crowded streets, Aeon remains quiet, his small frame curled up against the seat. Angelina watches him carefully, trying to piece together the fragments of his story from the little he's said. She hands him a bottle of water, and he hesitates before taking it, his hands still trembling. "You don't have to be scared," she says softly. But he doesn't respond. Instead, he stares out the window, his eyes distant, as though his thoughts are somewhere far away. The silence is broken by a phone call. Angelina glances at the screen and answers. It's her assistant, who sounds frantic. "Angelina, I've just heard something. That boy, there are rumors he's connected to a group of people who use children to beg for money." The words hit like a thunderclap, and Angelina's grip on the steering wheel tightens. She glances at Aeon, who's now looking at her with wide, uncertain eyes, as if he can sense something is wrong. "I don't believe that," she says firmly, but her mind races. Could it be true? Is Aeon just another victim, or is there something more to this? As they pull up to a cozy diner on the outskirts of the city, she parks the car and turns to him. "Aeon, I need you to tell me the truth. Is someone making you do this?" For the first time, his calm facade cracks. Tears well up in his eyes, and he shakes his head quickly. But his silence only deepens the mystery. Before she can press further, a shadowy figure steps out of a nearby alley, watching them intently. Angelina notices the man, feels a chill run down her spine. Something isn't right, and whatever's happening, it's far bigger than she imagined. Angelina's heart races as she locks eyes with the man lingering in the shadows. He's not just watching, he's waiting. She quickly moves to Aeon's side, shielding him instinctively. "Stay close to me," she whispers. The man takes a step forward, his expression cold and calculating. "That boy doesn't belong to you," he says firmly, his voice sending a chill through the air. Aeon clutches her arm, his grip tight and trembling. "Don't let him take me," he pleads, tears streaming down his face. Angelina squares her shoulders, her protected instincts surging. "Who are you?" she demands. The man doesn't answer directly. Instead, he pulls out a warm piece of paper, some sort of official document, and waves it at her. "He's part of my care," he says, though his tone betrays anything but concern. Angelina knows something is wrong. She kneels down to Aeon's level. "Tell me the truth. Do you know this man?" Aeon shakes his head violently, sobbing now. "He's the one who makes us beg. If we don't eat, he hurts us." The man lunges toward Aeon. Angelina steps between them, her voice sharp and commanding. "Stay back," she shouts. At that moment, the diner door swings open, and a few staff members rush out, alerted by the commotion. One of them, a burly cook, steps forward, his hands on his hips. "Is there a problem here?" he asks, glaring at the man. Realizing he's outnumbered, the man backs away, muttering something under his breath before disappearing into the alley. Aeon collapses into Angelina's arms, sobbing uncontrollably. She holds him tightly, whispering, "You're safe now." "I promise." But as relief washes over them, a thought strikes Angelina. If Aeon was part of this, how many other children are out there suffering the same fate? In the days that follow, Angelina not only ensures Ayan is placed in a safe home, but also works tirelessly to uncover the network behind the exploitation. Her efforts lead to authorities rescuing several other children, exposing a hidden world of cruelty. But the twist: Ayan, once silent and shy, becomes the face of hope for these children, speaking out to inspire others to act. This small piece of cake didn't just change Angelina's life, it sparked a movement. In the weeks that followed, Ayan's life transformed in ways he could never have imagined. With Angelina's support, he found a safe place to live, surrounded by people who cared for him and wanted to see him thrive. He began attending school for the first time, discovering a world beyond the street corners and empty stairs he had grown used to. Slowly his laughter returned, and so did his hope. Angelina didn't stop there. She worked closely with local authorities and charities, using her platform to raise awareness about children like Ayan, who were trapped in cycles of exploitation. The sting operation that followed led to the rescue of over a dozen other children and the arrest of those responsible for their suffering. It wasn't just a victory, it was a turning point for so many lives. But for Ayan, the greatest change came from within. He no longer saw himself as invisible. With Angelina by his side, he began sharing his story, reminding the world that even the smallest acts of kindness can create ripples of change. That one piece of cake, a gesture born from his own generosity, had started a journey that not only saved him but inspired countless others. Ayan's story became a testament to the power of compassion and the extraordinary impact of never giving up on someone, no matter how small he seemed.